We're glad to see you on the famous Rome channel. 90 Day Fiance is a show about people finding each other across continents and oceans, giving up everything for love. Naturally, it is filled with some of the most toxic couples and the most vitriolic feuds you can ever imagine. Not all of that bile plays out on camera either. Behind the scenes and on social media, 90 Day Fiancé stars will wage verbal wars on each other. Sometimes it's a rival from their season or a person who was almost family. Other times it's people who have only met once or twice, but experienced loathing at first sight. Take a look and see the most intense feuds that have ever played out among the stars. Fans may start watching for the controversial couples and the cute couples, but the feuds will keep you hooked for years, because that's how long they can last. First, let's address something obvious. A lot of these feuds involve Larissa Lima. Though she only entered the scene in season 6, her relationship was the most talked about since Daniel and Mohammed. Her situation has changed, but for a long time, she was feuding with anyone who looked at her crossways. First of all, we're not going to count every pair of exes on this list. Sometimes they parted on good terms, other times they loathe each other, but it's not quite feuding. But Colt resolved to try to get Larissa deported to Brazil, and Debbie is bad-mouthing her left and right. So we'd say that Larissa is feuding with them both, even though she's trying to move on. Fernanda versus Larissa. Viewers who didn't keep up with the stars on social media at all were introduced to this feud at the Tell-All special. Larissa saw Fernanda as her rival for the title of best-looking 90 Day Fiancé star. It was so bad that Larissa and Colt were late getting on set. Jonathan Rivera got involved. Though he and Fernanda would split several weeks after the Tell-All was filmed, he had his wife's back and feuded with both Larissa and Colt. On the Tell-All, this culminated in the hilarious moment when Larissa yelled, "Shut up, he!" It broke the tension a little. That didn't last. When Jonathan and Fernanda's marriage fizzled out in December, they didn't really share joint custody of their feuds either. But now, that has changed. In March, when 90 Day Fiancé blogger David Yates jokingly suggested a celebrity boxing match between Colt and Jonathan. Not to mean, but these are not men with equal degrees of athleticism, gently speaking. Jonathan replied, perhaps in jest, that he's down for it if Colt is. Colt has yet to respond. There is an extremely real chance that he didn't see the post. Maybe he's too busy flirting with women on Instagram. There's a real chance that he was nursing a killer hangover during the days on which that conversation took place. Moving on, Ashley Martin. Ashley got a lot of flack from a lot of her castmates and other 90 Day Fiancé stars after it was discovered that Jay, with her knowledge, had been running an account that was leaking their personal photos. In other words, it looked like a ploy for sympathy. No one wants to be made to feel like a fool, but Ashley had one feud in particular. Ashley Martin versus Larissa Lima. Larissa claimed that Ashley was speaking poorly of every woman on the show to her. Whether this was true or simply something that Larissa said to stir the pot is anyone's guess. Ashley Martin versus Lauren Brovarnik. Lauren is a fan favorite, and she and husband Alexei announced that they were having a baby. Fans were overjoyed. When Ashley Martin shared the news via her Instagram stories, Lauren seemed to misunderstand and perhaps assumed that Ashley was still in her own announcement photos for her own pregnancy. Ashley is not pregnant and did not steal anything, she just shared the news. Lauren has less experience with 90 Day Fiancé Instagram ads and had pregnancy hormones clouding her judgment. We can understand her confusion. Ashley Martin versus Angelina Pivarnik. Angelina Pivarnik is a Jersey Shore star, not a 90 Day Fiancé love seeker. But she and Ashley got into it, at a children's charity of all places. Ashley shared her side of the story, and it sounds like Angelina was in a very weird mood that night. Evelyn Villegas versus Larissa Lima. Two of the most controversial 90 Day Fiancé stars in the franchise's history butted head over one man, Corey Redgeber. You see, Corey met up with Larissa. During a time of uncertainty in his relationship with Evelyn, he hung out for one evening on a date with Larissa. Nobody boned or even kissed, but Evelyn was furious. Larissa ended up publishing private messages just to get Evelyn and her fans off of her back. The two of them went to war over a man only one of them was after. For the record, Just because Corey is photographed with a fellow 90 Day Fiancé star doesn't mean that he hooked up with them. We're reasonably certain that he did not have a threesome with David and Annie Toborowski. Also, he ended up getting back with Evelyn a few months after that massive feud settled down. Team Malcolm vs Jesse Meester. Jesse is notorious for the way that he treated Darcy Silva during their relationship, and Tim called out Jesse on social media, telling him that he's nothing without Darcy. Darcy is the one who continues to thrive on reality television. She's the one whom many fans love to hate. Jesse is yesterday's fiancé. Kalani Falgata vs Colt Johnson. In late 2018, Colt was asked if he had quit his job, and he replied that he had not, that he was not Kalani. Kalani, who clearly comes from a wealthy family, did quit her job, but she has a baby, another baby on the way, and Asuelu is still getting adjusted to life in the US. Her response to Colt's shade was profoundly harsh. Kalani hit back. "Oh Colt, sending dick pics and videos to women who aren't your wife isn't an occupation, silly," she wrote just days after his cheating scandal and the leaking of an alleged unimpressive photo. "Maybe you're just perturbed my clitoris is bigger than your dick? I guess we're even though, cause you got me beating the tits department." Colt started that fight, but Kalani finished it. He blocked her after that. David Toborowski vs Debbie. In late February, David, who is active and generally well received in the 90 Day Fiancé fandom, even though we're well past his season, and Colt Johnson's mom Debbie began feuding online. Debbie called David a piece of shit. However, David wrote that he didn't believe that she wrote it. He speculates that Colt used her account to write it so that he wouldn't have to personally face the blowback as he had in past feuds, such as his attempt to roast Kalani. Jay Smith vs Larissa Lima. The fallout from Larissa and Colt's scary violent breakup won Larissa a lot of sympathy, especially as fans continue to learn more about Colt. But Jay doesn't feel that way. Despite having once been rumored to be facing deportation himself, Jay shared on Instagram that he hopes that Larissa does end up getting sent back to Brazil. Rude. Clearly he remembers her behavior from the tell-all. As for Paula Mayfield, she's well liked by fans, except for the people who shame her for having a human body or for working as a model. But she also took some shots at Ashley Martin after Ashley's fraud scandal blew up. But her most heated contention was with someone who's been in the franchise a lot longer. Paula Mayfield vs Anfisa Nava. These women were co-stars on 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After. Paula and Ross welcomed their first child while Anfisa's husband Jorge was in prison, so their lives went in different directions. Nonetheless, Anfisa quit the franchise and called out Paula and Ross for being TLC's little bitches. Pau and Ross replied that Anfisa was asking for unreasonable Kardashian-level sums of cash. Leda Margaretha vs Tasha Rosenbrook. Leda swept into Tasha's life, emotionally blackmailed Eric Rosenbrook into forcing his teenage daughter to move out of her own apartment. Leda threatened to leave him if he didn't, and she did this on speakerphone in front of Tasha. 90 Day Fiancé viewers and stars alike were absolutely appalled. That feud was severe. Tasha lost out on her relationship with her dad. Viewers heard her voice break on 90 Day Fiancé when she realized that she had lost that part of her family. Tasha found a new place to live, but she can't just go out and find a new dad. Also, the feud got worse. Leda was granted a restraining order against Tasha, which goes on Tasha's record and could hurt her chances on her next rental application or job application. As a result, Tasha had to waste her limited resources fighting that in court. Just one more thing that Leda has taken from her. Good news! After many months of stress and separation, Tasha and Leda made nice. They even bonded over shared passions, such as cosplay. Sometimes it takes time and space apart before a family can begin to heal. Honestly, a lot of people say that Leda has really changed. Coming from Tasha, we believe it. Team Malcolm vs Dean Hashim. Dean Hashim is a fan favorite, so of course he and his brother did some bad-mouthing on Pillow Talk. Where Team drew the line was when Dean did external interviews and continued to trash-talk Team. Dean also echoed some things that fans had said, things that were downright transphobic, even though Team is not transgender. But there's a bright side. Dean and Team made peace. Dean made it clear that anybody who has beef with Team has beef with him too. Dean seems to have a bit of a feud with Tarek actually. Fernanda Flores vs Jax Taylor. There's plenty of crossover in the world of reality television, but this was such a weird one. For some reason, Jax Taylor decided to hurl insults at Fernanda and Jonathan back when they were married. Jax said that Fernanda was a fool and said that Jonathan looks poor. Jonathan may not have the wealth of Lisa Vanderpump, but he's a successful realtor and was making bank long before he went on reality TV. There's no love lost between those exes and Jax. Tom Brooks vs Jesse Meester. It's no surprise that Darcy Silva found a new man after Jesse Meester didn't go off without a hitch. Tom and Jesse feuded for ages. Eventually, though, they made peace, and there were whispers that they felt that they had united against a common foe, Darcy. Jesse Meester vs John Walters. Owing to the fact that being hot is not a substitute for being a good person, Jesse is one of the most disliked dudes on the 90 Day Fiance fandom. John poked fun at Jesse's tiny package online, and Jesse called him out, accusing him of name-dropping Jesse as a ploy to build up clout. Very major, guys. John Walters vs Jay Smith and Ashley Martin. Like we said, he seems to have a bit of a temper when it comes to social media. In real life, however, he seems to be a super decent guy. But when Jay and Ashley's fraud scandal was uncovered, he was one of those who felt duped and betrayed, and he used the C word to refer to them both. To be honest, coming from a British dude, that's not a big deal. They use that word like a punctuation. John would also later go on to defend Ashley during one of her attempts to divorce Jay. 2019 was a busy year. Mohammed J. Bali vs Danielle Mullins. Mohammed and Danielle are the toxic couple who are credited with putting 90 Day Fiancé on the map. Their feud included accusations of cheating, accusations of stealing, and one party trying to get the other deported. And they were doing this years before Larissa and Colty. They've moved on. And no, Danielle did not succeed. Mohammed is living and working in Texas. Mohammed J. Bali vs Ricky Reyes. Mohammed helped a friend of his with their music video. Innocuous, right? Ricky Reyes, who broke a woman's heart on international television as a ploy to promote his own production company, lashed out online. Ricky called Mohammed a little punk. We haven't seen evidence that Mohammed had promised to do anything with Ricky. Also, Mohammed is trying to steer clear of fame these days. If you look at his social media, he's mostly just going to work and getting paid and living his life. Ricky has different goals, but they don't need to feud over it, no matter how much it amuses Daniel. Devon Clegg vs The Hollywood Gossip. In 2019, Devon Clegg went on a furious rant on Instagram over a single line in a THG article that mentioned, in relation to its sympathetic reporting on her, that white nationalists were influencing US immigration policy. Devon flipped out, declaring her support for President Trump in a video and saying that she did not think that there was much racism in the US. Avery Mills clapped back at Devon. Devon's claim that she had not experienced much racism did not sit well with Avery, who knows that racism is a tremendous part of the fuel behind Islamophobia. She spoke about how she had received death threats and shared her experiences of everyday bigotry that did not match up with the rosy picture that Devon had drawn. Avery Mills vs Angela Deem. Angela Deem was out of control at the Tell-All special in 2019, accusing Avery of being a bad Muslim. At one point, she allegedly tried to physically attack Avery. Scary stuff. Thank goodness for Rebecca Parrott. Rebecca stepped in to physically protect Avery, wading into the feud in the time to prevent a free-for-all brawl from erupting on the set. Speaking of brawls, Pedro and Nicole vs the family Chantal. Pedro and Nicole Gimeno's dislike for Chantal's family is intensely mutual, and so bad that a physical fight broke out at dinner, one so bad that producers had to rush in to separate people. Yikes. There are still issues. Chantal Everett has feuded not only with Nicole Gimeno, but with Kiramia, Nicole's friend who has always had a crush on Pedro. Michael Jessen vs Paula Mayfield. Paula claimed on Pillow Talk that Michael thought only of himself and not of his young and beautiful model bride, Juliana Custodio. Michael clapped back, and some in the fandom speculated that Pau was projecting.